So why do we care about titrations? Why have we done 2, now 3 videos about it? Titration is not only used in chemistry lab to figure out what's the concentration of an acid or what's the concentration of that base. It's also used if there is a spill somewhere. Okay, the lab that you're going to be doing, a tanker that had acid in it was spilled into a stream, and that stream was contaminated. Scientists can use titration to figure out what is the concentration of the water that has now had acid mixed with it, to figure out, does something need to be done to fix that stream or to help the wildlife in that stream. It can also be used to figure out, does an antacid like Tums, how much acid in your stomach can help to neutralize? How well does it work compared to a different brand? Another titration example that's not really acids and bases, but is still titration, is that scientists can use titration to figure out how much lead is in a particular sample of soil or of paint, if it's older paint, or even in water samples. So titration is used in a variety of different ways. So for this lab, I'm going to give you the initial volume of the acid that was in the burette. It was 8.35. And now I'm going to complete this titration. I've started the titration. So, and I'm going to be looking for it to turn colorless because I'm adding the acid, which is lowering the pH. And I'm looking for it to turn colorless. And I'm adding it slowly. Notice I've only turned this a little bit. And once we see that it is clear, it's going to be your job to read the burette and enter that into your lab handout so that you can figure out what was the volume added to finish this titration. So it's almost finished. I'm going to stop this. It is colorless at this point, so you want to pause this recording and read that burette to the 100th place as close as you can. Remember, read it top to bottom. This is trial 1 that started with an initial volume of 8.35. So we are now going to do trial 2. This time, again, I've recorded the initial volume, which is 11.20. And I've already started adding my acid out of the burette into this flask, and it's looking a really pale pink. I'm going to add a little bit more until it's colorless. Now it's your job to figure out what is the final volume so that you can enter that into your lab report, as well as figure out the volume calculated. Once you've done the burette reading, continue in the lab doing the calculations using the titration formula, and let your teacher know if you have any questions.